Hello, so today we will be discussing some questions which is related to recent NATA examination happened on April 10th, 2021. So there are a lot of questions which was asked, and out of which we are going to cover topics which is majorly related to design awareness. So out of the entire question, we are having around 15 to 16 questions which is related to design awareness, which we are going to discuss today. This is Vibu here, so let's start. To start off with the first question number 55. The given painting belongs to the style, meaning the style, a modern art movement developed in Netherlands in the early 20th century. The art movement influenced modern architecture as well. Choose the correct interior image that belongs to the particular style, the style. So you have an imagery which depicts, so this is actually the style type of painting, and you have been given four options. Option A, B, C, and D. Out of this, the right option is option B. So if you see over on the right side, you can see a typical image which represents the style format. So in this style, we have very bright, sharp, contrasting colors used as blocks. Okay, they will be used as blocks and they will be arranged. So you can see out of this entire picture, the second one is a type of room or interior which satisfies this type of painting. So the right option for this is option number B. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Which of the following symbol does not fall under a spiritual category? If you look at this, there are four options, out of which the option number 1 or option A related to Christianity, option B which is related to Judaism, and option number D which is related to Taoism in China. So out of which the option is option number C, which actually does not belong to any spiritual category. So answer is question option number C. Moving on to the next one, identify the correct color scheme that is used in the current Google logo design. So very evidently it is very literally we know that the option is option number A. The color is blue, red, yellow, blue, green, and red. So there are four colors in it. So that is the right answer. Moving on to the next option. Look carefully at the different brand logos and identify the odd brands out of it. So out of this, you have out of the given four options, you can see the first one is Maggie. That is a food product. Option number B, which is related to mobile electronic goods manufacturing. Option number C is again MACD related to again food industry, and M&M is related to again food industry. They make actually chocolates. So the correct option is option number B, Motorola. Okay. Now let's move on to the next option. Option number question number 59. The given image below are single line sketches of various cities in the world depicting their famous landmarks. Identify which is the appropriate skyline of the Sydney in Australia. Now, if you look at this image clearly, you can see there is something which is very specific in this one. If you are aware of the architecture of Sydney, that is Opera House, it is very evidently seen over here in option number C. So the right option is option C. Moving on to the next question. What does the diagram given below represents? So here the options are rule of third, Fibonacci series, diagonal method, and random sequence. So the option for it is actually Fibonacci series, option B. And here you can see how Fibonacci series is developed. Okay, it's actually an addition process. Here you can see the starting from the very base, 1 plus 1 is equal to 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, 2 plus 1 is equal to 3, 3 plus 2 is equal to 5, 5 plus 8 equal to 30, 13, and it goes on like that. So it's basically Fibonacci series. Moving on to the next one. Which among the following brand logo is the odd one out? Now, if you look at all of this, these are all related to automotive brands. First one is Mercedes-Benz, which is German. So second one is Porsche. It's again German. The next one is Volvo, which is actually a Swedish brand. And finally coming to the last one, which is Volkswagen, which is again a German brand. So out of this, all are German except the option number C, which is Volvo is a Swedish brand. So option C is the right answer. Moving on to the next one, choose the Pantone color of the year 2021 from the given palette below. No. Now, Pantone is actually a company who are into standardization of colors. Okay, and every year they release a very specific set of colors which they call as Pantone color of the year. So the Pantone color of the year 2021 actually is two set of colors. Okay, that is the gray and the illuminate, which is something similar to a yellow. So here you can see ultimate gray and illuminating. These are the two colors you can see on 2021. So the right option for it is option number B. Moving on to the next one. Identify the color teal from the option given below. Teal is actually a color which can be considered as a combination of green and blue and which is more into a darker side. Right. So out of the given option, the right answer is option number B. B is the color teal. Moving on to the next one. What is the color scheme used in the given logo of food brand? Here you can see the brand given is Burger King, and here the majorly colors used is red, yellow, and blue. And as you are aware of the fact that RYB is a primary color, and the things enquired here is secondary color, analogous, split complementary, and tricolor. So RYB is also primary. At the same time, it is also a tricolor. So the correct option for this is option number D, tricolor. Moving on to the next one. Choose the two most important visual principles in the given two-dimensional black and white composition. Here you can see an image where you have to identify which of visual principles are followed. Repetition, parallelism, vibration, continuity, intricacy, flow, focal point, and data. So out of this, the most important elements which are being followed is definitely parallelism. You can see all the elements are parallel to one another. Let me remind you one thing. Parallelism need not be straight line. Even if you have elements which are curved but which are following the same continuous direction, you consider as they are following the concept of parallelism. So this is a typical image where it has parallelism. The next option is flow. Flow is simply when there is a continuous movement in a very specific direction, you can consider there is a flow. For example, even though the directions are changing, it is happening all throughout. So here you can say it is having a flow. Okay. Even if there is yet another option for this, continuity is also an option which we can consider as a right option, because you can see there are a lot of continuity. If I look along the direction, there is a direction through which the movement happens. Continuity is when you look at an imagery, if an element is converging or an element is diverging, or even if the variation is, maybe it can be converging and diverging, but if it's a continuous motion where your path is being directed, you can say it is having continuity. So continuity is also a right option for this question. Moving on to the next one. Choose the two most important visual principles in the given two-dimensional black and white composition. The correct option, the given options are paradigm shift, focal point, contrast, symmetry, repetition, hierarchy, flow, and direction. Here, the option which was provided from Architecture Council was symmetry and repetition, but we are not sure of symmetry over here. I don't think there is a very well proper symmetry in this image, but if it has balance, definitely this image has a very nice balance, but I'm not sure of symmetry. Instead, the right option could have been contrast. This image definitely has a wonderful contrast. There is a lot of elements which is having repetition in it. So the right option should be contrast and repetition. Okay. Moving on to the next question number 75. Action painting is best depicted by which of the following painting? Option A, option B, option C, and option D. Now, action painting is a process where the artist throws color, okay, throws or play with the brush, or he can do any sort of tricks with the color, creating a very natural artwork. Okay, it's not very intended. So, such a type of art technique is called as action painting. And the right answer for this is option number C. Here you can see an action painting, and the right option is option number C. Let's move on to the next one. Question number 76. Raja Ravivarma's art are the best examples of fusion of European academic art with purely Indian sensibility and iconography. Identify the correct artwork by the famous painter Raja Ravivarma from the option given below. So the best option or the correct option for this is option number C. Okay, this is the correct painting which was done by Raja Ravivarma. So if you look at the specific way of Raja Ravivarma's art, you can see that he used human figures or characters which are much more or less influenced by European anatomy, okay, and their facial attributes. However, he brought the ideologies into pure Indian context. Okay, that is what is different. That is what differentiates Raja Ravivarma's artwork. So option is option number C. Moving on to the next question. Which of the given abstract artwork best depict the emotion, joy, or optimism? And so this is a content which is related to color psychology. So the best option is always option number B. This is the correct option because the option B, you can see there is a lot of multiple colors, and that too they are all very bright color palettes. So usually a bright color palette with a lot of different varied color shows a lot of joy and optimism and happiness everywhere. There are a lot of multiple emotions. So when it is probably on minimum color tones, for example here, it is more or less monochromatic with blue color. It gives a very calm or peaceful emotion. On the other hand, if you move towards the last one, D, which is more onto the horrific or a terrific mood, and the one at the between is something which is having a very focused emotion, not like a joy or optimism. So the correct option should be the option number B. Moving on to the next question. Identify the hue given below which would find the correct fit in the row 4, 6 and 7. So here if you look at the image, you can see they are all different tints. They are all different tints of the color red. Okay, they are all different color tints of the color red, and you can see the value is increasing as you go down. Okay, or the brightness is or the value or the whiteness of the color is actually decreasing as you go down. So you should be able to actually figure out what are the colors which probably suits here. So you can always compare with the nearest color. See if the next color which should come after 3 should be slightly more lighter than this. The color which should come below this should be slightly more lighter than number 5. So the best option in that case is T, Q and R, where the T will be coming over here, Q will be the color which comes over the 6, and R would be the color which would come over there. So the right option is option number B, T, Q and R. Moving on to the next question. Please indicate the 5 most important visual design principles and elements used by Italian Renaissance painter Giovanni Bellini in his work of Madonna of the Meadow. Okay, the options provided are texture, scale, symmetry, balance, rhythm, repetition, direction, and form. The correct answer would be, see, there are 5 most important principles are inquired. So the the best suitable options would be, one is definitely texture. You can see a lot of texture on the painting. You can see the clouds, you can see the clothes, you can see the grass on the ground. So the texture is there. The relative proportion or scale, you can always compare things with one another. Okay, the background, how the buildings are smaller, the relative size of the child with respect to mother. Okay, all the relative proportion you can compare. So scale is there. Now there is a wonderful balance. If you look at the image around a central line, it's very nicely balanced. So very good balance in the image. So balance is an option. Now they are inquired for 5 options. The next could be rhythm, repetition, direction, and form. The next possible options could be one is direction and form. Direction is, you can see the way the illustration has been done, there is a direction towards this side. Overall, the painting is illustrated in such a way that it has a sense of direction focusing towards the top. Right? So direction can be a very good option. And the last one is form. There is a lot of three-dimensional elements which along with they are played with. So form is also the right options. The right options would be texture, scale, balance, direction, and form. Moving on to the next one. Please indicate again the five most important visual design element principle used in the three-dimensional metal sculpture. Okay. So let's see which all are them. They So here the options are hierarchy, balance, dynamism, delicateness, unstable, direction, form, and distortion. So let's see. The first one would be the balance. This is a very good composition which has a very good balance around left both the sides. Okay, the next one is dynamism. It is very dynamic. It has a sense of movement. Okay, delicateness, or definite is not delicate. Unstable, we need to look at it. In terms of direction, yes, it has a directional sense. If you see, the movement is somewhat towards the bottom side, so it has a directional sense. Yes, it is definitely having a form, right? So the given best options here are balance, dynamism, direction, and form. So if you actually look at the word unstable, this is a sculpture which is actually unstable. It will not stand on its own. So unstable also could be a correct option for the given image. So if they are asking for the five, the best option should be balance, dynamism, unstable, direction, and form. Moving on to the next one. Below is an artwork by L. Lisitsky, a Russian painter whose works are greatly influenced by Bauhaus and constructivist movements. Please indicate the five most important visual design elements principles used in the artwork given below. Options are stability, minimalism, intricacy, asymmetry, depth, pure form, convergence, and delicateness. So let's see which are the best one. Definitely it is not about stability. Yes, it is something which is very minimal, very basic elements have been used to create the painting. So minimalism is a very good option for this. Intricacy, let's hold on there. Asymmetry, yes, definitely this is an image which has asymmetry. So it is asymmetry is an option. Depth, yes, you can see things are placed one top of the another. The red is in the background, the gray keyboard which is on top of it. You can see there are things which are placed one top of the another. So there is depth in it. Okay. All the forms are very pure. They are very, very basic elements like cuboids, circles, trapezoids, basic lines. All are very basic pure forms. Finally, there is something called as convergence also in it. You can see there are elements which are converging. This is like a perspective piece. You can see they are converging. Here is yet another element which you can feel as if it is converging. So the last option could be convergence. Fifth option. Moving on to the next one. Choose from the option below the composition that best relate to the given composition. So you need to understand what are the basic elements which is involved. So if you try to understand the given composition, all of them basically constitute simple black square in a white background. So in that sense, uh, uh, everything except this has some sort of black square. Okay, here it is a white square. So first one is ruled out. Now out of the remaining ones, you can see here the smaller square is touching the larger square at its sharper point. See, this is a smaller square yet again touching a larger square at a sharper point. Here on the other hand, this is definitely not the option because it is very parallel. So this is not having any sort of parallelity. So definitely not this option. Moving on to the C and D. And see in C, it is the larger one which is touching the surface or an edge on the smaller one. So this is also not the option. The right option is this. Here you can see the smaller squares are touching the larger square by one of its edge. Right? So here you can see the smaller one is touching the larger one by one of its edge. So that is the right option. So option number D is the correct answer. Moving on to the next one. Choose from the given option below the composition that best relate to the given composition. right? Now you try to decode certain elements within the illustration. Okay. Try to understand and decode a lot of elements. You can see there is certain circular elements which are connected by lines of the sort. Again, here you can see the same thing is repeated. Here also it is repeated. So out of this entire imagery, this one is the only thing which has such a treatment, a circle which is related by a line. Again, can you see there is some sort of diagonal interactions? Okay, see diagonal interaction 1. Can you see that? This thing 1 and 2 like this. This is again you can see it over here. So it is again repeated. And finally you can see a certain treatment of this sort where you have elements of this sort which is again repeated over here. Can you see that? So the best option is option number C. None of other ones satisfy all these conditions. So the right answer is option number C. So yeah, with that we have come to the end of the content, where we were basically looking at contents which is related to design. Now, overall, when we were going through these topics, there are certain contents which we need to be prepared with. Okay, when you're going for architecture examination, make sure you have looked upon certain topics, which is especially the concept related to color theory, topics related to color psychology. Okay, you will have to look at art movements. Make sure you understand all the fundamental elements of design, basically line, shape, form, okay, things like that. Then understand principles of composition. Okay. Then make sure you have some decent understanding about logos. Okay, make sure you have some decent understanding about logos, their color palette, which these are all anyway coming under the general knowledge part. But still, I would want you guys to make sure in terms of studying logo, look in terms of what is the color used. Why is a brand using a specific color in terms of its psychology? Please look at it. Okay, what are the type of colors used in a logo? Maybe they will show you a black and white logo. They would ask, what are the type of colors which is going into actually into this logo? Understand what is the product which they majorly manufacture in terms of general awareness. Which country do they belong to? Which country do a brand belong to? Please look into all those. Even though this comes into the general awareness part, please be prepared with this. Also, art movements. There are different type of art movements like cubism, minimalism, pointillism, constructivism. So try to understand what are different art movements. What are the type of which are all the major famous artists? Okay, classical artists. Like, the people who lived during the Renaissance period, classic artists. Who are the famous artists who are present now? For example, contemporary artists. Make an awareness of all this. Okay, these are things which is majorly. These are some of the major topics which you should be looking at before you're going for the design related topic. Okay. So with that, we will end. Thank you all.